Hey guys!
Whale Tales.
Yeah, time for more Whale Tales. This month, the month of March 2014, is the month that these stories are from. And our prompt was...
Golems.
Yeah, Golems.
Not like Lord of the Rings.
No, totally different Golems. Tyler gave this prompt.
I did.
And
I have to read first.
Yeah. I'm excited about this one. He gave this to me at the beginning of the month, and I had it done in like 2 days.
I've done like 2 months.
So, yeah, do you just want to go ahead then?
Okay. The name of my story, a Golem story, is Glorb's Discount Golems. Golems.
I like the sound of this already.
Okay. Glorb. Glorb was a goblin. And so was Glorb. Other Glorb. His brother. Glorb was his brother. Okay, fuck. There's Glorb 2 and... There's Glorb and Glorb 2. More Glorbeer. They are goblin brothers. Okay, back on track.
Dude, I like the sound of Glorb too.
Yeah, he's alright. The Glorbs live in New Mechanopolis, the generically named city of technology. Glorb runs the less than reputable shop Glorb's Discount Golems, which was made famous by its unique creations, such as the trash golem, the discarded food golem. He separates his food waste from the rest of his trash, obviously. Probably the most famous, the shit golem.
Okay, I have to ask a question really fast.
Yeah.
2 questions, actually.
Okay.
First of all, is like, New Mechanopolis, is its official title, like, the generically named City of Technology?
Well,
like...
its official title is the New Generically Named City of Technology.
Okay. And then second of all, the discarded food golem that separates discarded food items from other trash.
No, the Glorb separates his own discarded...
That's what I wasn't sure about. I was like, is it a golem that does that, or a golem that's made out of that, or both?
Right. I mean, I don't know, he might be able to.
Alright, so
maybe we'll find out later in the story.
Continue.
Probably not, though. Oftentimes called the doo-doo golem, for kids. Glorb 2, however, made amazing creations of wondrous power, like the Diamond Dragon Adamantium Hyperdimensional Space Cat Laser Magic Golem.
Dude! I would buy like a dozen of those!
Yeah, you would. Because they are capable of space flight, laser blasts, fire breath, immune to mundane and most magic weapons, regular flight, being a cat and or dragon, being a genuinely nice person, and performing even the most exotic of sexual favors.
If I lived in this world, I wouldn't even have friends. I wouldn't try to, meet other people, because I would just fill my life with these golems.
Happens. Needless to say, it was greatly desired and ridiculously expensive. People are more likely to buy this glorious monstrosity than to buy a house, even if they had kids and a wife. Hell, they'd probably sell their family to pay for it. Glorb was naturally filled with goblin jealousy, which is really similar to regular jealousy, except there's significantly more urinating on furniture. Significantly. Glorb didn't sell many golems despite the cheap, extremely cheap price. Like, they're practically free. There was, this one time, a bird enthusiast bought nearly all of his doo-doo golems because of a writing error calling them dodo golems. Dodo, of course, being the legendary lightning bird of Brynwolds. Not to be confused with dodos from Earth.
Keep going.
Okay. Just make sure you're alright. The guy still paid for him and everything, and, took him home after finding out they were made of shit poop. But, one day after Glorb 2 remodeled his store to be 10 times the size it was, and made of gold with diamond windows, Glorb had enough. Rising from his piss-soaked mattress in the back alley behind his shop, his shop was filled with, like, garbage and poop, pretty much universally. So it was in the back alley. He roared into the starry sky. Fuck other Glorb and his obvious superiority. I'm gonna wreck everything he loves and totally rob his stupid ass. After spending a night in jail for screaming his intent to commit crimes and disturbing the peace, Glorb was ready to wreck some shit. You can't just scream that shit in the middle of fucking Mechanopolis. New Mechanopolis. He equipped his thieves' tools and ninja outfit and ran to Glorb 2's premium golem emporium. He flashed through the shadows, leaping from rooftop to rooftop. Upon nearing the store, he cast a black shroud of darkness spell on the surrounding area to dodge the guards, and threw a lockpick into the door, opening it before he even reached the door. Glorb had taken most of his levels in Rogue because he didn't realize having caster levels was necessary for making golems. Anyway. Goblin
So he's like a talented thief. Just tries to make golems instead.
Yeah.
Okay.
He lives in New Mechanopolis. You gotta make golems.
Okay.
Once inside, he ran into the basement, where he was pretty sure Glorb 2 kept his safe. He made his way down the stairs, but was quickly grabbed by a plethora of high-powered golems. So, another piece of shit beggar comes to take from... What the fuck, Glorb? Seriously? You're trying to rob me? On my fucking birthday, too. Wow.
I'm crying. Oh my god.
Well, you know what, Glorb? I call me Glorb 2. What? Why? Because it's confusing. We have the same voice and name. Who cares? It's just us here. We'll just do it. Really, man, it just makes things easier. Fine, Glorb 2. I was losing track of which one of us was talking anyway. But I came to rob you because I deserve your money. My golems are better. Alright, let me show you something real quick. Glorb 2 pulled back a giant curtain, revealing a huge field of poop and garbage. What? Why do you even have this here? Asked Glorb in disgust. These are your golems, retard. I'm the only one who buys them. And you never actually bring them to life. Glorb stood there stunned. He always thought modeling stuff into the shape of people made golems. Not only that, but Glorb 2 was the only reason he was still in business. He tried to run to his brother's arms, but was still held by golems. Glorb 2, can you ever forgive me? I was a jealous fool. Of course, Glorb. That's what older brothers are for. I thought I was older. Nope. Then why are you Glorb 2? Because you are a huge dick about the whole thing. Later that night, Glorb 2 stood in front of the garbage field as a huge hatch opened beneath it, and it all fell into a giant pit of molten fire. At the bottom of this machine, Glorb's 2 DGAHDSCLM golems were being produced from the molten poop trash. The molten fire lit up the room just enough to see Glorb 2's sadistic grinning face, and Glorb approaching from behind, knife in hand. Finn.
I was gonna say that was a really nice, touching story, but...
Nope. They're all assholes.
It's terrible.
Yeah, they're both just horrible people.
Oh my god. That was amazing.
I'm glad you liked it.
That may have been the funniest thing I've ever heard today. No, that was fantastic. I want one of those golems. I want two of those golems. I want all of those golems.
I want to replace my entire family with those golems.
Absolutely.
I want to replace me with one of those golems.
We're talking about the discarded food golems, right?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
It's like a pile of discarded food.
That was fantastic.
Alright.
Okay. Should we have a little bit of you know, what's it called? Like interval music to denote that we're switching over to the second story now?
Bum ba 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 music.
Bum ba da ba ba. All right. So that was fantastic. I don't know if mine's gonna measure up. It's not gonna measure up. I do know it's not going to.
Yes, I like winning.
But my story is called Jerry's Big Adventure.
Is it a big adventure?
It is a big adventure.
Who's Jerry?
You'll find out.
Okay.
Alright.
These are questions that need answered.
In the land of Chiron, golems were commonplace. For centuries, golems of various types had been created to serve as manual laborers and servants. At the center of every golem was a magical crystal that powered the construct and gave it the rudimentary intelligence necessary to carry out whatever basic tasks it was assigned.
Like a lightsaber.
Yeah. No, not at all.
It's crystals.
Oh, yeah, I see. The magic of the crystal could become unstable over time, however, and sometimes this led to the golems developing greater intelligence. Some were even rumored to develop their own unique personalities. Jerry was a very old golem who had been in the same family for generations and had developed a personality several decades back. He was a quiet, peaceful soul who genuinely enjoyed his work and loved helping his master, Jimothy Carmichael.
Jimothy?
Yeah. It's a very common name in Chiron. Jerry.
Like Lord.
Yeah. Jerry, Jimothy said one day, approaching the golem as he was dusting. You're fired.
Jesus. Wow.
Jerry paused, the duster clutched in one massive steel fist. His emerald eyes, like literal emeralds, turned slowly toward his master. What? He asked, confused. Jimothy motioned to a strange humanoid contraption that was standing beside him. I've just been to the market. They were selling a new type of golem there, clockwork golems. Can you believe it? I bought one, so, I don't really need you anymore. But...
Wait, does he, like, pay Jerry, or...
No!
Well, but then why would he bother firing him?
Well, he just wants him out of the house.
Oh.
But Jerry lowered the duster and looked down at the floor. But I've been serving the Carmichael family for centuries. I like it here. I like you and your family. Don't you like me? Aren't I good enough for you? Yeah, not really, Jimothy said, scratching his head uncomfortably. You're kind of enormous, and sometimes you break things like, plates or chairs or doors. And every once in a while you blow stuff up with magic. Plus this whole having a personality thing, it's not really working for me. It's weird. You're just supposed to be like a mindless slave. Like Franz here. Jimothy patted the clockwork golem affectionately on the shoulder. See, Franz is normal size, and he's empowered by magic that might randomly discharge and blow a hole in my wall, or cause him to suddenly have emotions. I see.
That happens?
Yeah. I see, Jerry replied sadly. Is all of this true, Franz? Yes, rattled the clockwork construct, the ticking of its gears nearly drowning out its speech. I am superior to you in every way. Thus, Jerry left the only home he had ever had. He was unsure what to do with himself now. All he had ever known was housework. He didn't think he was qualified to do anything else. He could always apply at the mines, he supposed. Many golems worked there. He worried, however, that none of the other miners would want to work with a golem that could think for itself. Confused and upset, he turned to the one place he knew humans went to at times like this. A bar. And so then they just kicked me out, after years of service, he finished. He had been relating his story to the bartender for nearly an hour, despite the fact that it really should have only taken about 5 minutes to tell. Yeah, that's rough, the man said, not even remotely paying attention. So look, are you gonna buy a drink, or what? Of course not, Jerry said, perplexed. I'm a golem. I don't need to eat or drink. Also, I don't have any money. Well, if you're not gonna buy anything, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. This tavern is for paying customers only. That seems a little unfair, Jerry replied. I mean, isn't that sort of discriminatory against golems? Look, man, I didn't imagine I'd ever have a golem in my bar, okay? I didn't even know you guys could talk. Or, think at all. Wow, okay, Jerry said, standing up and moving towards the door. That's, super racist. I don't really appreciate the atmosphere in this place. I'm just gonna go now. Whatever, the barman shrugged. Outside, Jerry sighed, his massive stone shoulders sagging. He had no home to go back to, and now he'd been kicked out of the only tavern in town that he knew the location of. He felt he had nowhere else to go. Hey, said a voice behind him. I heard your story in there. You did? Jerry asked, turning around to see a thin brunette leaning against the wall. She was decked out in tight leather armor with a green cloak. A long saber was at her waist, while a bow and quiver were strapped to her back.
Sounds hot.
It was actually sort of hard not to, she admitted. You have kind of a loud voice. Oh, Jerry said. Yeah, I don't really have much control over that. Sorry.
I'm kind of imagining him as Destructor from Futurama.
Yeah, I can see that. She shrugged, as if to say, hey man, nobody's perfect. So where will you go now? What are you going to do with yourself? I don't know, Jerry admitted. All I've ever done is menial labor. I'm not sure I'm capable of anything else. The woman strode forward and began to circle Jerry, looking him up and down. You're a magic golem, right? So, do you have any magical capabilities? Oh, sure, but not anything particularly useful, Jerry said. Just your basic golem stuff. Strength of 10 men, an eternal indestructible power source, steel fists magically imbued with the power of the elements. You know, nothing special. The woman had stopped circling and was now staring at Jerry, mouth slightly agape. She shook her head slightly. Sorry, what was that last thing? Elemental fists, Jerry supplied helpfully. Explain that one to me, please? Sure. See how most of my body is made of stone or clay, but my hands are enormous and made of metal? Well, that metal channels magic from my power crystal, which lets me imbue my fists with the elements of ice or fire at will. Why would a household servant need to be able to do that? The woman asked incredulously. It's fairly useful around the house. I can keep hot drinks hot and cold drinks cold, Jerry responded, his voice tinged with pride. Okay, the woman said. Well, since you're out of a job and a home, have you considered becoming an adventurer? An adventurer? You mean, like, fighting monsters and exploring ruins and seeking thrills and treasure in equal measure? Jerry asked. The woman nodded. Jerry shook his head. Oh, no, I don't think I'm cut out for that. It sounds dangerous and scary. But aren't you functionally invincible? Well, yes. I mean, technically a golem can be killed by shattering its power crystal, but my original owner got a lifetime warranty when he bought me, so my crystal is protected by an unbreakable shielding spell. So let me get this straight, the woman said, crossing her arms. You're an enormous, unkillable mesh of stone and steel. You have magic fists and superhuman strength. And you're afraid of a little adventure? Jerry scratched his chin. I never really thought about it that way.
Well, man, if the title's an indication, a little adventure's not gonna happen.
Tell you what, the woman said. I just so happen to be an adventurer myself. How about I bring you with me on my next quest? You can see how you like it, and after that you can decide if you want to keep adventuring. Deal? Deal, Jerry replied. My name is Melinda Barkhollow. I look forward to traveling with you. She held out her hand. I'm Jerry, Jerry said. He looked at her hand and awkwardly shuffled his feet. I don't know if we should shake, though. My hands are a lot bigger than yours. I don't want to, break any bones or anything. Point taken, Melinda said, withdrawing. Now, I set out at dawn for the infamous Cave of the Spiderkin. Beneath the Bornath, the Arachnid King, has been terrorizing the nearby towns with his despicable spawn for far too long, and I mean to put an end to it.
Fucking spiders.
Is this an agreeable first quest? Absolutely, Jerry said, relieved. Killing spiders was easy. He'd done that lots of times in the Carmichael house. He had been worried there would be mythical beasts to slay or maidens to rescue, and he wasn't sure he could do that. Pest control, however, was firmly within his wheelhouse. The next day, they began the long trek to the Cave of the Spiderkin. The journey was easy for Jerry, being that he was an immortal construct that could never grow tired and did not need to eat or drink. Melinda weathered it well, too. Clearly she had been adventuring for some time and was used to the travel. Eventually they reached the cave. Are you ready? Melinda asked, lighting a torch. Jerry nodded, and the two began their descent into the cave. All around they could hear the skitter of legs, and it did not take long to discover why. The Cave of the Spiderkin was swarming with giant arachnids, a group of which soon fell upon the adventurers. They were massive beasts, spiders the size of horses, with eerily long legs and sharp fangs that dripped a noxious purple venom. The moment they appeared, darting quickly out of the crevices in the wall, Melinda was ready to fight.
God, fucking spiders.
Oh yeah, they're the best.
Yeah. I can't believe you wrote a story with spiders in it like
I
this.
know. I hate spiders. I'm deathly afraid of spiders. There's 5 of them, she called, quickly taking stock of the situation and pulling her saber from its sheath. As the first one leapt for her, she dodged smoothly to the left, her sword arm swinging out to sever 4 of the spider's 8 legs. The thing crashed to the ground beside her, and she quickly vaulted over it, slicing downwards as she did so to decapitate it. As she landed, another of the monsters charged at her, but she slammed her torch into its face, destroying its eyes and igniting its thick coat of sickly white fur. It hissed and fell over, legs curling beneath it as it burned. She spun around and raised her blade just in time to block an attack from the third spider, its fangs crashing into steel only inches from her face. She pushed the hideous fiend away, but it dove for her again, so she threw herself to the floor, raising her sword and slicing the creature in half as it sailed over her. Rolling back into an upright position, she yelled, "Watch out!" Her saber flew from her hand and buried itself in the head of a spider that had descended from the ceiling on a thick, gooey strand of webbing directly behind Jerry.
Oh, man.
Finding herself bladeless, she instead reached for her bow. She fired a few shots at the final instantly. Wow, Jerry said, awestruck. That was, like, seriously, wow. Whoa. Next time maybe you could try fighting some, Melinda panted, retrieving her sword and arrows. I have to admit, these spiders are a lot bigger than the ones I'm used to, Jerry said, staring warily at the body still swinging lazily on the strand of web. They're the spawn of Bornath, the arachnid king, Melinda replied, wiping white ichor from her blade. Enormous, deadly, and extremely unpleasant to look at. They're a scourge in this area. That's why I came here, to wipe them out. Well, you're doing a great job so far, Jerry assured her. They didn't even scratch you. And a good thing they didn't. They're incredibly poisonous, she said, as they began to move deeper into the cave. Anyway, in the next fight, I'm going to need you to back me up, okay? I know you're new at this, but I really can't do it without you. Okay, Jerry responded, nodding. Next time, I'll kill a spider for sure. As it happened, next time was only a few moments later, when two of the monsters dropped from the ceiling. True to his word, Jerry fought. As the two were descending, Jerry positioned himself beneath one and swung his fist upward as hard as he was able. He struck the spider so hard that it exploded. He caught the other by the legs just before it reached the ground, and swung it against the wall with all his force. Again, this completely demolished the creature and sent disgusting spider guts flying every which way. Jerry beamed at Melinda, apparently unaware of the viscera now coating him. I did it, he said proudly. I fought some monsters. Good job, the woman murmured, attempting to wipe the thick, foul-smelling entrails off of herself to no avail. She reflected sadly that she would never be able to get these stains out unless her favorite cloak was ruined. It had been monogrammed and everything. They continued to progress, overcoming a few more obstacles along the way. They were attacked several more times, but with Melinda's skill and Jerry's newfound confidence, they managed to easily dispatch their foes. At one point, their way was blocked by a thick wall of webbing, but Jerry activated his fire fist and burned through it. Finally, they reached the innermost chamber, the lair of Bornath, the arachnid king. He was gargantuan. He hung from the ceiling like a bloated, furry, twisted chandelier, dwarfing the other spiders that scurried around him. His 8 eyes swiveled to the cavern's entrance as Melinda and Jerry came in, and he hissed angrily. "Who is this who enters my chamber?" he cried, his voice thick and gravelly. "I am Melinda Barkhollow," Melinda shouted, stepping forward and raising her saber to point at the behemoth, "and I demand that you and your spawn cease your attacks on the nearby villages." "Yeah, and I'm Jerry," the golem said, puffing out his chest. I agree with her or whatever." Bornath's eyes flashed.
Jerry.
Yeah. Bornath's eyes flashed with rage. "Demand? You make demands of me? Children, kill these insolent whelps!" A dozen or more hungry spiders began to crawl down the walls towards the pair, but the two were ready to fight. Jerry charged into the fray, swinging left and right with his giant steel fists, each blow hammering a spider to pieces. Melinda hung back, her bow at the ready, firing arrows into any of the beasts that made it past Jerry's hurricane of punches. Although this worked for a time, eventually the enemy's numbers grew too vast, and, realizing that Jerry was the major threat, the monsters surrounded him. A few lunged for him, and though he was immune to the effects of their poison, their fangs chipped away at his stone body and the acid burned and corroded him. "Jerry!" Melinda cried, rushing forward to help him. It was no use, though. The way to him was blocked by a multitude of spiders. She began to hack her way through them. Desperately hoping she could reach her new friend before it was too late. Jerry summoned his strength and hurled out the fiends that clung to him, then raised his left fist high. It began to glow a bright blue, and he slammed it into the earth at his feet. Ice radiated out from the blow, covering the ground around it for several feet in all directions. The spiders around Jerry found themselves unable to move as the thick frost held their legs in place, allowing the golem to finish them off with ease. As the last one was crushed beneath his hand, Melinda reached him. Panting with exertion from the long fight, she nodded to him in approval, as if to say, "Hey, good job, man." "My children!" Bornath howled. "What have you done to my children? They were my legacy, and now they are all gone. I must make more. God, this is so inconvenient. Do you know how long it'll take me to find a new spider queen to mate with? I mean, seriously, look at me. I'm enormous. It's really hard to find any spider ladies my size. You'll pay for this."
What happened to the other one?
She's dead.
Oh.
She did that thing that, like, spiders do sometimes, where, like, the mom lets the babies eat her for sustenance.
Fucking spiders.
Yeah. With a speed neither would have
Gross and ugly.
with a speed neither would have expected from such a large being, Bornath swung down and grabbed Melinda in his two foremost legs, then ascended back to the ceiling beyond Jerry's reach. He held the woman out towards the golem mockingly. "I can see you're a magic golem," the erected king sneered, "so I admit I may not be able to kill you. This girl, however, is a different story. Now watch her die as I had to watch my children die at your hands." Just then, twin beams of green light shot from Jerry's eye emeralds, sweeping across the ceiling and neatly severing the two legs that held Melinda. Bornath screamed in agony as the woman fell down into Jerry's outstretched arms. "What in the name of the pit was that?" Melinda yelled, shocked. "My eye lasers," Jerry said. "You have eye lasers?" she cried. "Of course. Didn't I tell you that?" "No! You absolutely did not." "Oh. Well, yeah, I do. Now, get out your sword. I have an idea." Bornath was still screaming in pain as Melinda, still in Jerry's arms, unsheathed her blade. He adjusted his grip on her and looked up at the shrieking monstrosity above them.
Oh, I know what's coming.
"Ready?" he asked. "For the record, I think this is a terrible idea," she responded. That said, yeah, I'm ready. Jerry spun around a few times to build momentum, then hurled Melinda at Bornath as hard as he could.
Yes!
She
Fastball special.
Oh yeah. She flew towards the massive spider, her saber held out before her, burying it up to the hilt in the creature's head. Bornath's shrieks of pain turned to a disgusting gurgle and then stopped altogether. "Yay, it worked!" Jerry shouted, punching the air happily. Jerry, how do I get down?" Melinda asked, desperately clinging to her sword, which was still stuck in the spider's head. Jerry stared up at her, momentarily lost in thought. "Maybe if you can just yank your sword free, I can catch you." "Okay," Melinda replied. "I'm gonna give that a try. Are you beneath me? 'Cause if you don't catch me..." "Don't worry, I'll catch you," Jerry assured her, and he did. Moments later, the massive body of their foe fell from the ceiling as well. Before leaving the cave, Melinda hacked out one of Bornath's venom sacs. "That's super gross," Jerry said, watching her yank it from the corpse. "Bornath has some of the deadliest venom known to man," Melinda grunted, putting her prize into her pack. "I can tip my arrows with it." "It's still really gross," Jerry replied. Melinda looked at the large hole she'd carved into the dead thing and the goopy ichor that now coated her hands. "Yeah, it kind of is," she said. She shrugged and turned to the golem. "So, you've had your first adventure. What do you think? Will you keep traveling with me?" Jerry was quiet for a long time. "I think," he said slowly, "that I need to go back to town." Several days later, there was a knock on the door of the Carmichael home. Jimothy answered. "Jerry?" the man said, surprised. "I fired you like a week ago. What are you doing here?"
Dick.
"I don't do stupid chores anymore," Jerry said, standing tall. "I'm an adventurer now, and I fight spiders, and I travel with this awesome lady, and she's way prettier than your wife. And Franz is a stupid name for a clockwork golem. So there." And with that, Jerry turned to go, leaving Jimothy dumbstruck. He turned back after a few steps, though, and said apologetically, "Actually, hey, don't tell your wife I said that about her not being as pretty as my new friend. Charlotte is a lovely woman. That was totally uncalled for on my part. Sorry." Then he strode off and never looked back. "How did it go?" Melinda asked when Jerry got back to her. "Pretty good," Jerry said happily. "Good. So, are you ready for our next adventure?" Jerry beamed. "Absolutely." The end.
What a nice ending.
Yeah! See, I told you that not everyone in Chiron is terrible. Melinda Barkall is, like, super nice and cool.
At least 1 out of 3. Jimothy was a dick.
Mm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Jimothy's a jerk.
And even though Franz didn't really have any actual personality, he was still kind of a dick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, clockwork golems are kind of pretentious.
Well.
So, yeah. Question time?
Yeah. You go first.
Okay. So, are the Glorbs, like, dead now? Like, does Glorb kill Glorb 2 and then, like, fall into the molten pit or something?
No, Glorb's still alive, but Glorb 2 is, like, super dead.
Okay.
He got stabbed in the back and shoved into the molten pit.
So, was the whole thing, like, a ploy by Glorb 2 to get Glorb to, like, not make golems anymore?
No. He was using Glorb's waste to make other golems.
Oh, okay. I see. I get it.
Somehow it made super diamond adamantium.
Right. Dragon laser cat golems or whatever.
Yeah.
I see. But at the end, Glorb succeeds in killing Glorb 2.
Right.
Okay. Does he still just try to go back to the golem business?
Yes.
Okay.
He's still terrible.
Your turn.
Okay. Do any other golems go on adventures, or is it just Jerry?
That's a good question. I mean, other golems can have personalities.
Right.
So, I would say... no.
No.
Jerry is the first adventuring golem. Although... Okay, let me put it this way. Jerry is the first golem that willingly chose to become an adventurer.
Okay.
Other... Like, adventurers might own golems that they have, like, to carry their stuff while they're on adventures or something like that.
But they never just, like, have the golems do adventures for them? Or...
Well, yeah, that happens too.
Okay.
But he's the first, like, golem that, like, had a personality and then decided to go out adventuring because of that. But there's definitely other golems that adventurers, like, own and use.
Okay. Is Melinda, like, into Jerry?
No,
like,
they're just friends.
No,
No.
no love for non-living objects?
No. They're just really good friends.
Do any golems have, like, dicks or anything?
I mean, you could probably, like, order that if you wanted. You'd have to go to, like, you'd have to go to the right place. That's not, like, standard issue golem.
Okay. None of them are just, like, made with that already on. It seems like that'd be a terrible idea with the magic golems. They just, like, randomly shoot off, like, fucking magic blasts of death.
To be fair, that's only happened, like, twice. In Jerry's case.
It still happens.
Every once in a while.
Yeah, but I mean, it happens and it disintegrates walls, so... And I mean, he's, like, gigantic, too.
He kind of knows when it's coming. It's like a sneeze, but magic and deadly.
Does he ever have, like, false alarm magic explosions, like sneezes?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's gonna be horrifying.
Yeah.
That sounds like at least half as bad
as
when it actually happens.
It doesn't happen to, like, regular golems. Like, it's
like, just Jerry?
Well, no, I mean, it doesn't happen... And it takes, like, hundreds of years for the magic to, like, destabilize enough to give a golem a personality. And, like, that's also, like, where the magic blasts come from, is because, like, the magic is kind of wibbly-wobbly at this point, because he's so old. He's not in danger of it, like, just stopping one day.
Okay.
But, it's, like, it's not funneled into powering him as efficiently as before and stuff. So, like... Now that he's an adventurer and he's using his, like, elemental powers, like, often for combat and stuff, it probably won't happen anymore because that's draining off the excess.
Yeah, not building up and just bursting out of his face?
His chest crystal.
Okay. Is it, like, visible from the front, or...?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. You can totally see it.
Can you see the unbreakable, forever, lifetime shielding spell?
No, not unless you try to attack it directly.
Okay. It's like an invisible force field.
Yeah.
Thing. Sort of flashes when, like, a sword hits it or something.
Right.
Cool.
So, that was Golem Week. Or month, I guess. I had a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah.
This is my favorite story that I've done so far. And yours was amazing.
Yeah, I had fun.
Definitely laughed the hardest at that out of, like, anything that's been on the show.
I noticed.
Yeah, that was amazing. So next month, got a new, brand new, prompt.
And this one, it's your turn.
Yeah, my turn to come up with one. I chose werebeasts.
Beasts. Any kind of were thing.
Yep. Doesn't have to be wolves. Can be wolves. Doesn't have to be wolves. We got were tigers, were boars, were sharks. Any kind of animal that a human being can turn into. Fair game.
Were Covenant Elite from Halo.
Not that. I'm looking forward to that one. I've started mine already.
Yeah, you have. I haven't.
I'm not very far. I'm only like 2 pages.
Okay. That's good. I don't want to get too far behind like I do every month.
So, yeah, keep a lookout for that. And we'll, thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks.
This is like one of my favorite things to do for our channel. I like doing the Let's Plays and stuff, but, I really like writing these stories, so I'm glad
It's super fun.
for anybody who listens. We really appreciate it.
Should we mention, like, your idea for the next thing?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's keep that under wraps for now
Yeah.
until we can record a little bit of it and see how it works.
Teaser.
Yeah, we do have another project on the way that's kind of in this vein.
Yeah.
It's more of like an audio podcast thing, not like our regular show.
Right.
So I'm very excited to start that. It's probably a few months away because it's going to be hard to get everyone's schedule right for who we want to be involved.
The necessary people.
But I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, thank you for listening, everybody, and we will see you next month.
Whales Tales.
For more Whales Tales and some Werebeast action.